For 2 weeks straight, I only played really old games. No battle passes, no microtransactions, no live service, no online gameplay, just like in my last video, but this time, I'm playing even older games. Speaking of that video, if you haven't seen it yet, maybe you should check that video out first and then come back to watch this one. But in that video, I mostly played PlayStation 2 and 3 games, although not exclusively. I did play some GameCube, N64, and Wii titles, but I didn't really dip my toes into anything much earlier than those systems. Well, that video was received extremely well, and a lot of you were commenting saying, "But Milky, most of these games aren't even that old," then recommending that I play even older games such as PlayStation 1, SNES, N64, and Sega titles, so I decided to do just that. Just for you guys. We're gonna travel back in time to see just how far, or not, that we've come in the world of video games. Hey there all you beautiful guardians of the glaze. Welcome back to the Milky Donut. If you're new here, this is the Milky Donut. We do all things video games, movies, and pop culture. And if you're not new here, man, you are even more handsome than the last time I saw you. Before we start our epic time travel journey into the old world of video games, I should mention that I do have a goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers as quickly as I can. So if you could go ahead and like this video, leave a glazy comment, hype it if you can, and subscribe, it would help me out a ton. And not only does it help me out, it also gives you the chance of becoming Subscriber of the Week, as you can see right here. Every week, I go through my videos and just see who's gone out of their way to leave an extra little bit of support for the Milky Donut channel. And that could very well be you. And if it is you, you get shouted out in every single video that I upload for that week, as well as getting your name put on my little Subscriber of the Week plaque, as you can see here with Mr. Pithoster. So if I were you, I would go ahead and subscribe. And with all that nonsense out of the way, let's go ahead and jump back in time to play some old games to really see how much we've improved on, or strayed away from, what made video games amazing in the first place. The rules to my little time travel experiment are basically the same as last time, only with one minor difference. This time, I can only play titles that are pre-PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era. There's no hopping back and forth between old games and new games. If I don't like the games or if I get bored, I get bored. That's it. Again, I wanted to truly immerse myself into these games to really give them the chance that they deserve to prove themselves and show me what they're made of, and show me what I'm not made of, because, boy, make sure you stick around to the end to watch me become a changed man, because, yeah. After spending 2 weeks playing nothing but even older games than last time, from the SNES to the N64 to the PlayStation 1 and even early PlayStation 2 titles, I started noticing something that I at this point actually found myself expecting to find. These games aren't just good for their time or good for old games. In many ways, these games actually feel better than the games being pumped out today. A very similar feeling to the one that I got after spending 2 months playing slightly less older games from my last video, but with these games, the difference between 8 and 16-bit games, PlayStation 1 era, and modern games is so drastic in nearly every aspect of the experience. A lot of the feelings I had before are present here, but with even more clarity and weight. Our first stop on our little time travel journey takes us back to October 31st, 1991 with a little game named Super Castlevania IV for the SNES. Now I should say, I for one have never played a Castlevania game, I know, but believe me, I learned my lesson, because holy shit, is this game S tier. Right from the start, it pulls you in with phenomenal atmosphere, and if you guys know me, you guys know that I love a good atmosphere in my video game. Plus, I've always been a fan of the eerie, dark Transylvanian aesthetic. It almost gives me like a weird, cozy feeling, and I don't know if it's because I'm a fan of monster movies or lore from that region or whatever, but the game already had me from the aesthetic alone. You start outside, it's quiet and eerie, and the music perfectly sets this heavy tone. And then you walk across that drawbridge, step inside, and all of a sudden that iconic Simon Belmont theme kicks in, that of which I had never heard until I played this game, shifting the tone from mysterious and eerie to suddenly feeling like a pure early 90s action platformer. That kind of intentional shift in tone is something that older games seem to pull off perfectly, and as I've mentioned plenty of times before, they didn't waste your time. No long intro with no long tutorials that drag things out, you're just sucked right into the experience, and it's amazing and sometimes very stressful. And believe me, we'll get more into that later. We'll come back to Castlevania here in a little bit, but I actually want to start talking about the next game that I took a leap of faith into, because I get a lot deeper into this one and I'm going to spend a lot more time talking about it. And that game was none other than the apparently legendary Chrono Trigger for the SNES. Yeah, we'll see about that one, buddy. And see, we did, because let me just say right now, this game has absolutely zero business being as good as it is. Although I had never played Chrono Trigger until this video, and I honestly didn't even really know that much about the game. I've always heard people repeatedly say that it's one of the greatest games ever made and one of the greatest RPGs ever made, and I always thought there's no way that one of, if not the best RPG game ever made was pulled off on the SNES. Not to mention, once you hear these buzzwords over and over again, they eventually start to lose their meaning because people love to throw around insane glaze for things, saying it's the greatest thing of all time, or that it's the worst thing ever made, and I get it, trust me, I'm guilty of doing the same thing. I literally do that for Ocarina of Time all the time, so I'm just as guilty as the next guy. But after playing it, nope. They were right. Like I said, I'm gonna have to dive a little bit deeper into this game, a little more than some of the other ones that I played, because I just need to. One of the first things that I noticed was just how instantly playable it is, and I'm not even an RPG guy. I'm usually not patient enough. I'm definitely not into turn-based combat, but man, I'll be honest, this one got me. No dragged out opening, no 10-hour tutorial section, no systems piled on top of systems trying to overwhelm you. You're in the world almost immediately, which is a recurring theme with a lot of these classic games. You walk into Lean Square, happy music is playing, people are bustling around, there's energy everywhere, and before you know it, you're already wrapped up into this time travel adventure. Older games really just knew how to get you right into the experience. They weren't afraid to show you who they were right off the bat. There were no tricks, no bait and switches, they were just confident in what they had to offer. And that pacing seems to be consistent throughout the entirety of the game. However, I have not beat this game, that's what it feels like so far. And remember, this is an RPG, but somehow it avoids almost everything annoying that I usually associate with RPGs. And I should say that these aren't inherently bad things, they're just personal hangups and opinions and things that I don't like in my own gaming experiences. There are no random encounters every 5 seconds because the battle system isn't random. Like, I can actually see the enemies on the map, and if I saw an encounter that I just didn't want to deal with at the time, I could avoid it if I wanted to. No pointless grinding walls, no bloated side content wasting your time like a lot of padding that's done nowadays. Everything feels purposefully placed and there for a reason. Every area matters, every conversation matters, and as a huge fan of dungeons in video games, every dungeon feels handcrafted. It respects you as a player in a way that a lot of modern games just don't do. And then there was the combat, which man was a huge worry for me going into this game. As a matter of fact, it went as far as to making me not even want to play this game. And boy am I thankful that I did not let something so stupid get in the way of such an amazing experience. Because at that point, if you guys found out that I did that, I'd probably have to make my own unsubscribe video on behalf of you guys and send it to me, because you guys deserve better than that. You know I give you nothing but S-tier quality content here at the Milky Donut. But anyways, it genuinely surprised me with just how smooth it felt, and remember, I really do not like turn-based combat. Like I said just a minute ago, enemies are visible on the map, giving fights a more natural feel rather than an intrusive roadblock that you just have to go through. And the dual tech and triple tech systems is like genius. Watching party members combine attacks into these big coordinated moves made battles way more exciting than just selecting attack from a menu over and over again, which is usually why I can't stand a lot of turn-based combat. It adds strategy, but in a fun way, not in a grindy way. And for the life of me, I just don't know why dual and triple techs didn't just become the standard for all RPGs that followed the release of Chrono Trigger, because it's so good. And on the SNES, like, it blew my mind. Besides the combat system, which I fully expected to hate, where the game really got me was the characters. Something I've never really gotten into with you guys is just how it feels like no one can write good characters anymore, whether it be in movies, video games, or whatever else. But every time I got a new party member, I actually cared for them. Frog, Robo, Ayla, Luca, Marley, I think Marl, same difference, you can yell at me in the comments if you want to. Magus, everyone feels memorable. They all have their own personalities with their own vibes and quirks, and their own reason for being there. Even with simple sprite graphics, these characters feel more alive than a lot of fully voice-acted, highly rendered characters in video games that we have today, and that's huge. And we'll go back to Magus for a second because holy shit. I won't go too crazy into spoilers, just play this game, okay? I have one word: aura. Magus is one of those characters where the more you learn, the more everything changes. At first, Magus is presented to you like your typical villain, seemingly responsible for bringing the parasite alien monster Lavos into the world. The game points you in the direction of him being the big baddie, the mastermind behind everything, but nope. Wouldn't you know it, they actually wrote a layered, flawed, compelling character. You eventually learn that Magus isn't just some throwaway one-dimensional villain, not even close. He's Janus, the lost prince of Zeal, ripped away from his home as a child when the kingdom of Zeal collapsed into chaos. He watched his mother become consumed by power, watched Lavos destroy everything, lost his sister Shala, and then got thrown through time completely alone, and you're like, okay, I get you, brother. Yeah, yep. Being a child, losing your kingdom, your family, your entire world, and then being stranded in a completely different place and time with nothing but your absolute rage to keep you company. Man, they sure did cook here. Something I quickly came to realize was that a lot of older games were very good at doing a lot with the little that they had. With limited hardware, there were no walls to hide behind. It forced creativity, making them hit even harder than a lot of stories that we have now. And side note, the music in not only Chrono Trigger, but most of these games was just so good, man. And the craziest part of all this is ironically how modern some of these ideas feel. The good ideas that modern games have to offer, that is. Multiple endings, time travel choices affecting other eras in the future. I mean, this game was doing things decades ago that some modern RPGs still struggle to pull off well. It was so ahead of its time, no pun intended. Playing Chrono Trigger, Castlevania, and the other classics that I played, which we'll get into here shortly, gave me the same feeling a lot of the slightly less retro games I played in my last video gave me. It made me realize that older games weren't primitive versions of what we have now at all. In a lot of ways, they were sharper, way more focused, more confident, and with less bloat and more substance. But I'm not quite done yet. We do have a couple more stops on our little time travel journey together, which brings me right into my next game, Siphon Filter for the PlayStation 1, which I did play with my dad when I was little, but I was so young I could barely comprehend what I was doing. Besides tasing people, I definitely knew what I was doing with that, but I always had a blast with it. Siphon Filter throws you right into your first mission almost immediately, again with minimal handholding and no extended cutscenes that overstay their welcome. You learn how to play the game, well, by playing the game. Who would have thought? And like I said, it also brought back memories of absolutely cooking dudes with the taser for an unnecessarily long period of time. Games back then didn't insult the intelligence of the player, instead trusting you to think, experiment, and get good at the game. Sure, some of the elements are a bit rough around the edges, but the friction is part of what makes it engaging. You have to figure things out, and that creates tension that a lot of modern games either glaze right over or leave out completely. Now, going back to Castlevania for a second, the gameplay and mechanics felt intuitive and extremely responsive. You have full whip control in 8 directions, the ability to change direction mid-jump, which I believe was new to the Castlevania series at the time, but these things give you just enough freedom without making the game easy. When you mess up, it's because you didn't read the level design correctly. You didn't gauge a jump or a swing correctly. Not a bug or a glitch or bad enemy AI, just you needing to change your tactics because frankly, they suck. These older games are unrelentless but in a good way. These games don't give a single flying fuck if you fail, but it rewards you when you don't. The sense that the game isn't constantly trying to protect you from failure is something missing in a lot of modern games, unless of course you're playing a Souls-like game or some indie titles. But generally speaking, the modern game industry has a severe lack of no hand-holding. Around level 3, the difficulty really started to spike for me. One thing I noticed was that some of the elements of the background became hard to distinguish between just being a part of the level's art design and being an actual enemy or a spike or something else that'll harm me, which led to me inevitably constantly tiptoeing my way around levels at times. Now, whether or not that's a positive or a negative, I'll leave that for you to decide. But it did elevate my stress levels nonetheless. Hazards continued to become more unpredictable, and sometimes you died to things that you just couldn't have possibly even known about. Platforms flipping instantly, water killing you on contact, it's unforgiving, but that trial and error design is something I found myself to enjoy. Some might call it unfair, but I would say it just simply forces you to learn the game instead of just coasting through it. But we can't talk about difficulty without talking about our last stop on our little time travel journey, and that is Contra Hard Corps for the Sega Genesis, and holy shit was I in for one with this game. I'm not even sure if I had ever heard of this series until looking for games to play for this video. It sounded familiar, so I'm sure I've heard the name thrown around at some point in my life, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into. First things first, there is zero, and I mean zero, introduction. No tutorial, no exposition, nothing. You blast through a few enemies in your tactical tank van thing, fly through the windshield, and immediately jump into action. And I mean, like, I usually have a snack when I start a video game. Like, I have my drink and my snack, and usually like I'm waiting for the game to load up, so I'm munching on my snack. And I was eating when I started this game, and I thought I was gonna have more than 5 seconds. Like I had to literally throw my chips down, and I was like, oh shit, we're here, we're going. Man, talk about a rush. That's something you don't get every day. Yeah, this game is hard as fuck. I mean, like, hard as fuck. Like, to the point where I have a newly found respect for old school gamers because this shit makes Souls games feel like a peaceful walk in the park. Some of these old 16-bit games are the pinnacle of get good. The sheer amount of enemies and projectiles being blasted at you constantly is nothing short of absolutely ridiculous, but in a good way. As chaotic and wild as this game is, everything still feels so smooth and it all runs like a charm. It's actually, I'm gonna go on a little tangent here, it's actually insane how good these games look. I don't know if I've just never really looked or what I was expecting. I think it's because when I would think of SNES games or Sega Genesis games, I imagine like bad looking games and slow gameplay, but I was so unbelievably wrong. Like, it's actually like the complete opposite. Playing games of the current age now feels slow and clunky. These are some of the prettiest, smoothest running games I've ever played, with amazing enemy and character designs, gorgeous art design, atmospheric worlds and locations, with absolute banger soundtracks. In a way, playing these games made me feel something almost sad in a way. Like, they're so different from what we have now, it almost feels like I'm not even playing a video game. It's like if modern games are movies, then these older games are stage plays, both playing out a story with scripts, actors, and used as entertainment, but each offering two completely different experiences. And as I said at the end of my last video, playing these old games didn't make me hate modern games, at least not any more than I already do, but these games, I will not lie, got me closer to it. It just gave me a huge appreciation for what we had before and what led up to what we have now. And I will say that these games blew my mind. Like, I just had low expectations, which I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Hopefully I made up for it in this video. But man, these games are certified glazed. But now it's your turn. What's your favorite classic game? Do you prefer old games or new games? Let me know in the comments below. And do you want to see more of this? You guys gave me a lot of recommendations, some of which I couldn't get to, so I apologize, but I can play them in the future and make more videos. So go ahead and comment what you would like to see. Of course, don't forget to like, hype, and subscribe for your chance to become subscriber of the week, and I'll see you next time on the Milky Donut.